name is Krystal Everdeen, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet a crop top inspired by Disney Princess Jasmine from my favorite Disney movie, Aladdin. For this project, I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Red Heart and a size 5mm hook. The first thing that I'm going to do is create a slip knot and then chain a chain that is long enough to wrap around my torso from one side of my rib cage to the other. Essentially, make a chain that is long enough to cover from here to here on your body. And after you have completed as many chains as you need to cover that portion of your body, then just go back on that chain with a single crochet. And all a single crochet is putting your hook through the stitch, yarning over, bringing it back through the stitch, yarning over one last time, and bringing it through the last 2 loops. So through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over, through the last 2 loops. And if you are a complete beginner to crochet, I will link a crocheting for beginners video in the description box below so you could practice with that first and then maybe try out some other more beginner friendly tutorials first. I do have a number of beginner friendly crochet top tutorials available to you if you find this one a little bit too difficult for you and you want to try something easier. But anyway, back to this tutorial. Once you reach the end of the row and you've completed your very first row of single crochet, you're going to chain 1, then flip the project over, and then start your new row of single crochet on top of the previous row of single crochet. So you're just going to create single crochets on top of the single crochets from the previous row to build on top of it and make more and more rows of single crochet. So you're going to go all the way down the project to the end of the row, and once you reach the end of the row, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to chain 1, flip the project over, and then start your new row of single crochet. And this portion of the project that we're working on now is the part of the crop top that's going to cover your torso, so right under your cups or your breast. This is going to be the part that actually covers your stomach, your ribcage, and your stomach. So you just keep making rows and rows of single crochet until you put this against your body and you like the coverage. Again, this is a crop top for me, so I only had to make about 20 rows, but if you want this to be a full top or you are a taller person, then you may need to make more rows. Totally up to you. So now that you have this complete, we're going to get to work on the breast portion of the top, the sweetheart shape. So you're going to put the project against your body as if you're wearing it, and then you're going to mark off the stitches that line up with the end of your breast as well as the middle of your chest and the other end of your other breast. And those markings should indicate where you need to make the cups. So from here, I'm going to make the little sweetheart shape. Now that I know where exactly I need these cups to align to properly cover my breast. So from the end of the row, I'm going to do as I normally do. I'm going to chain 1 and then start my new row, and I'm going to single crochet my way over to the first marking. So this is the first marking. This is where my right breast ends. So this is actually where my cup is going to begin. So from here, I'm going to single crochet my way to the second marking right over here in the middle of the project. And then I'm just going to go back and forth between the 2 markings and only crochet in between those 2 markings, and that's it. So from the first marking, I am single crocheting my way over to the middle of the project, which is the second marking. And now that I am here, I'm going to flip the project over and chain 1, or chain 1 and flip the project over, doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to single crochet my way back to the first marking. And after I have single crochet my way across to the first marking here, I am going to repeat the process and just keep going back and forth to the second marking, to the first marking, to the second marking, to the first marking, until finally I have crocheted a number of rows so that when I put the project against my body, this portion of the top covers all the way up to the middle of my breast. And once I have crocheted that many rows so I get that coverage, then I move on to making the project a little more round as opposed to rectangular, because again, we want that sweetheart shape and not necessarily just rectangles for cups. So now we're going to change things up a little bit to try and make these a little more round. At the end of every row, you're still going to chain one and go into the first stitch of the new row, but you're actually going to skip over that second stitch and go right into the third stitch and then continue on the rest of your row. So instead of it being rectangular, it's going to be a little more round, and although you can't see it in the beginning, it's going to take a couple rows for you to actually see it start to round out and curve. You're just going to continue doing that. So chain one at the end of each row, flip the project over, skip over that second stitch, go into that third stitch, and then continue on the rest of the row like normal until you reach the other end. And then you're going to do the exact same thing. And again, after a few rows, you should be able to see that it's starting to round out a little bit and even curve, which is perfectly okay because this is a cup and you want this to wrap around your breasts, so that's going to be perfect. And you're just going to continue with this pattern at the end of each row until you put the project against yourself and you're happy with the coverage. And after you are happy with the coverage, then we can move on and make the other cup in the exact same way. So now that I am done with this first cup, I am going to single crochet my way over to where I want to make my second cup. So this is what it looks like so far with just one cup. So from here, I'm going to single crochet my way down here, make my second cup in the exact same manner as I did the first cup. And yeah, so from here again, I'm going to single crochet my way down the side of the first cup. And there's no specific stitch that you can put your hook into when you do this, so you just kind of have to shimmy your hook into the stitches here and try to keep them as close as possible, and it will pay off. You could also skip this step and just detach the yarn from the yarn ball and reattach it where you want to make the second cup, but I like to make everything in one go, trying to detach the yarn as few times as possible. So now that I am at the bottom, I'm going to slip stitch twice because I want a little bit of a gap in between the two cups, but if you want the two cups closer together, then do not slip stitch into two stitches. Just immediately begin making your second cup if you want the cups to be really close together. And again, I'm going to make the second cup the exact same way I did the first cup. I'm going to go from the center to the other marking, and then from that marking to the center, and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until the piece that I am working on is able to cover up to half of my breast. And then once it's able to cover half of it, then I'm going to go ahead and switch it up in terms of what I do at the end of each row. That way I could round it out. So again, after this rectangular portion is large enough to cover up to half of my breast, then I'm going to now chain one at the end of each row, go into the first stitch, and then skip over that second stitch and continue on the rest of the row until I reach the end. And once I reach the end, I'm going to do the exact same thing for as many rows as I did for the first cup. That way they are even, and after I'm done with that, then I was done with the most complicated part of this project, and now I'm going to single crochet my way to this point and make a strap, and then I'm going to single crochet my way along the top here, through the bottom, and then up the side, over here, up here, and then make the other strap. So that's it. I'm going to now get started on making the first strap. So from where I left off, I single crocheted my way to the side of one of the cups, And then I made a very long chain of 200 chains for the strap, because this strap is going to not only wrap around your arm for the off the shoulder effect, but it's also going to lace around your back as well. So it needs to be pretty long. And again, I made mine 200 chains. And after I made those 200 chains, I went through most of them with a slip stitch just to make the chain a little bit thicker and sturdier, and also so I don't have to cut the yarn from the yarn ball. And now I gave myself about 7 inches of space so I can single crochet this portion, and this portion is going to be the part that actually shows. This is going to be the part of the off the shoulder that wraps around your arm, so we need this to be a little bit thicker so it shows better. So from about 7 inches away from the cup, I began single crocheting instead of slip stitching, and I made about 5 rows of single crochet in total so that this portion of the strap could show when it wraps around my arm, and it could have that Princess Jasmine off the shoulder vibe going on. So again, once I reached the end of that row, I just went back and created some more rows on top of it until it was about this thick. And of course you can make it as thin or thick as you want, just make more or less straps according to what you like. So after you're done with that strap, then you could either slip stitch your way down the top so that you could single crochet your way all along the top to the other side to make the other strap, or you can simply detach the yarn from the yarn ball and then reattach the yarn to the other side of the top so you can make the other strap in the exact same way. But again, I'm going to single crochet my way all along this portion of the top, or rather the outline of the top, to make the strap on the other side. And once I made the other strap, I also single crocheted my way along the top of this cup all the way down and then back up the second cup and ended right here, in which I then detached the yarn from the yarn ball and then brought the excess yarn through the last loop to seal the project, and then I cut the excess yarn from the project to truly seal the project. And now I am done crocheting this top, and now it's just time to lace it all up. So in order to lace this up to get that corset design, you're going to grab one strap and bring it over to the opposite side, attach it to the top portion of the bottom portion of the top, and then you're going to bring it over to the opposite side and attach it to the middle portion of the bottom portion of the top, and then bring it along the opposite side one last time and attach it to the bottom portion of the top. So after you've done that, you're going to do the exact same thing, just on the opposite side. So grab the opposite strap and bring it over to the other side, attach it to the top portion of the bottom portion of the top, then reach it on over to the opposite side again and attach it to the middle portion of the bottom portion of the top, and then lastly bring it on over to the opposite side one last time and attach it to the bottom portion of the top. And after that, you are completely done with this project, and now you can wear it as a costume, as everyday wear, or really just do anything you want with it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and also check out other tutorials that I have on my channel. I have a ton of them. And before you go, please click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye!